Hi guys, Gil at Camp Patton Family Compound. Welcome to September 1st, first day of National Emergency Preparedness Month. We got a cool video for you. Hi. So, like I said, this is the day one of National Preparedness Month. And so I'm going to go over something with you guys that most people fail to do when they're trying to get prepared. And that is planning for their preparedness. Before I talk about that, I'm basically going to let you know something here first. I'm using a PowerPoint presentation down here below that you can't see of what I teach for emergency preparedness. I have several courses I teach. This one's called Planning for Emergencies. And so for the next 3 videos, I'm going to break this up and cover it with you guys. And so one of the first slides here talks about me. And so you're going to know a little bit more about me. I just retired from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. I worked at the Oakland Coordination Center, which covers 21 counties in California. It is the largest coordination center. I was the Emergency Management Coordinator. I was the primary Executive Coordination Center Officer. I was the Designated ComSec Representative and HSDN Trusted Agent, basically dealing with all the security of equipment and who has access to it. I am a FEMA certified instructor for Incident Command System 100, 200, 300, and 400. I am also an instructor for IS 700, 800. I am a Cal EMA and FEMA certified COOP design and manager. And COOP is the continuity of operation plan by which governments and big corporations keep their companies operating. COOP is continuity of operation plan. So basically, it's to keep them running. I've been teaching emergency preparedness since 1971. I'm a ham radio operator and a ham cram instructor, and I developed the scouting share program, which is Scout Ham Amateur Radio Experience, which gets scouts to get their ham radio license. I've been teaching wilderness survival since 1973. I've written over 40 tactical response plans for Homeland Security. I've written multiple handbooks on emergency preparedness, and both fiction and nonfiction books. Until recently, I was a Scoutmaster, and I was also the NYLT, which is National Youth Leadership Training Assistant Course Director for Scouts. I'm currently the CEO of the Asset Center, which is the American Survival School and Emergency Training Center. So, I know a little bit about emergency preparedness. Okay, I'm looked at as one of the nation's top people, but I will say this. After, 71, that's 48 years, I am still learning stuff because technologies change, information changes, we learn more, we learn what we thought was true, not quite so much true. So, I'm still learning all the time, and you can still learn. So, for this course here, which I teach, the objectives were for everyone to know how to make plans by the end of the course, what the plans are for, what's the time frame, are you going to do it for a shelter in place or SIP, or a bug out? Are you planning? What's your budget for planning? Or you're planning for budget? Training, supplies, All this is going to be covered. So, next slide here. Okay, and there's some certain ground rules. These are certain things you must understand. That there are only two rules. What a man can do and what a man can't do. Have you recognized that from Pirates of the Caribbean? Good. Because it's true. It's what you can do and what you can't do. What you can do is to learn to do what you can't do. However, there are certain things that you just can't do by yourself. I can't fly by myself. I need an airplane. All right. But I can learn to fly an airplane. Okay, the biggest problem that people have getting prepared for emergency is they go about it piecemeal. So what is piecemeal? Well, piecemeal is characterized by being an unsystematic partial measures taken over a period of time. In other words, grab here, okay, I'm getting prepared. Where am I? I have no idea, but I'm getting prepared. I'm buying this, I'm buying that, I'm picking up piecemeal. Remember, proper planning and preparation prevents poor performance. The second biggest problem is that 90% of people don't realize that emergency preparedness is like a spider's web. There's no straight line across. And everything is connected to everything else. And you wiggle one part of it and everything else is affected. So, one of the things you also need to realize is that through planning, you can organize yourself so you're not saying, dang it, I could have waited to do this and I should have started on that sooner. Ever done that? Raise your hand if you have. I think everybody's realized that they could have done something in a different order. Okay, now the first thing you're going to need, ready, is a pencil and a notebook. Yeah, a pencil and a notebook. Because you need to write stuff down. You need to write stuff down. You need to write stuff down. There, I said it 3 times. It takes an average of 3 times hearing something for it to start to sink in. You need to write down all the ideas that come to you. The second thing you need is a co-planner, because 2 minds are better than 1. And if there's 3 or 4 of you, hey, that's 4 minds better than 1. The third thing you're going to need is an open mind. There's no such thing as a stupid question. Because if the person didn't know the answer to it, that's why they're asking it. All right? And so in keeping your open mind, you need to use what's called a parking lot for ideas that people throw out. Now, a parking lot in training and symposiums and stuff is where someone makes a suggestion, they write it down on a Post-it, they stick it on a board. They will come back to it later. Because an idea is placed on the board does not mean it's trash. Okay, it just means that, okay, we're not ready to discuss this. We need to remember this and discuss it later. Okay? The fourth thing you need is probably one of the hardest things. Patience. You can't get it done overnight. There's a old TV show from back when I was a kid, Santa Claus one of those animated Bass Rankin ones, where called Santa Claus is Coming to Town, where Kris Kringle runs into the Winter Warlock, and he gives him a toy train, and he starts melting his heart, and the Winter Warlock's, I don't know how to be good, and Kris explains to him, simple, put one foot in front of the other. Take one step, and then another. Soon you're walking across the floor. Put one foot in front of another, and soon you're walking out the door. That's the way it is with emergency preparedness. You do it one thing at a time. You don't try to do it all at once. You do, you'll burn yourself out. Okay, so what type of emergencies are you planning for? Oh, that's right, you can't give me examples because I can't hear you. Think about it for a few seconds. What type of emergencies are your priority? Well, in the class, I now put up a slide and it says, these are a type of emergencies that are out there. Accidents, asteroids, avalanches, bad knees, bad back, bad hips, etc. Biohazards, births. Yes, births can be an emergency. An early birth, a home delivery that turns into a breech, big emergencies. Cancer, contagions, crimes, deaths, droughts, earthquakes, economic collapse. Now, economic collapse has a little asterisk next to it, and I'll come back to that in a second. EMP, electromagnetic pulse. Famines, fires, floods, fuel shortages, heat waves, ice storms, infestations, also has an asterisk next to it. Infectious diseases, loss of job, mudslides, old age, pandemics, power outages, also has an asterisk next to it. Robberies, serious illness, shootings, tornadoes, vehicular malfunctions, water shortages, wildfires, winter storms, and for the modern generations, zombie apocalypse. Okay, now those three ones that had asterisks next to it, economic collapse, infestations, and power outages, those are multiple phase or multiple location emergencies. They can be global, they can be national, they can be regional, they can be local. So, yeah, all four can affect you. So you need to figure out, okay, what am I really worried about? When I asked in one of the classes before I showed the slide, what are you planning for? And someone goes, I'm preparing for everything. And then I brought the slide up. You're preparing for all this? And he goes, wow, I didn't realize there was so much. I go, so what are you really preparing for? Well, it turns out he was preparing for earthquakes, economic collapse, and pandemics. So he had three things that he was really preparing for. You need to pick out what it is that you're preparing for and realize your location. I'm in Idaho. I am not going to prepare for a hurricane. No way in heck is it going to reach me here in Idaho. Winter storm? Oh yeah, I'll get a winter storm here, but I'm not going to get a hurricane. So look at your area, what seriously can happen in your area, but what is it that you are most concerned about? I guarantee you there's going to be a top 3 or 5 that are really up there, and everything else is just kind of bubbling along with it. All right, so once you pick out what it is, write it down. These are the top 3, top 4, top 6, whatever things in order that I'm most concerned about. So that goes in your notebook. Now, let's talk about your location. You got to plan about your location. Are you going to SIP or bug out? SIP is shelter in place, which is stay where you're at. Home, work, school. Where are you going to stay at? Part of this goes along with another section, course I do on disaster bags. And so I'm not going to talk much about it other than say that you should always have at work a disaster bag, a bigger one in your car, and a bigger one at home. The disaster bag at work is to hold you over till you can get to your car where your other bag is at. That bag is to hold you over until you can get home, whether you're walking or driving, having to go around out of the way. Example, the Loma Prieta earthquake in San Francisco. People that worked in San Francisco were trapped because they closed the Golden Gate for inspections because the Bay Bridge had a section slip and drop, which it was designed to do to keep the stresses from taking the whole bridge down. So the roads around, a lot of the roads were damaged, and so people just wound up staying at work, trying to get into hotels in San Francisco. A lot of the hotels were damaged. They were stuck. Others, after several hours, 6 or 7 hours, were able to start driving down the peninsula, down past San Jose, looping around and coming back up the east side of the bay, up into Hayward, Oakland, Concord, and so forth. One of my neighbors, took him 18 hours to get home driving. He had to stop and fill up for gas twice. So, your bags, that's all about your bags. So you need to have one in the office, one in your car. All right. Now, shelter in place is stay where you're at. You can also have, you're going to stay in the office for 3 or 4 days. Make sure your bag has enough supplies for you to do that. Don't advertise you have it. Other people try to take it from you. Now, bugging out, getting out of Dodge. You need to have a place to go for this. Whether it's a redoubt, a shelter, a hunting lodge, some place to go to. Once you go to that place, you need to have an idea of what type of place it is. When I say that, is it a cold place, a warm place, or a hot place? And as you scratch your head, say, hang on a second, let me explain. In continuity of operations planning, we have what's called a COOP facility. So basically it's where all the important, when I say important, I don't mean I'm important. All the important functional jobs need to move to keep government or the company operational on a managerial basis. Not everybody goes to it. For a company, you might have, depending on the size of the company, you might have 2 or 3 people from payroll go, 2 or 3 people from HR, upper management, the president, the vice president, the CEO, the CFO positions, or their designated people to go there and to make the decisions. One of the companies I worked for, during Loma Prieta, the president of the company was in Europe. He went to the European offices, set up there, and stayed there for a month, running things from there as the people here relocated out of San Francisco to Sacramento and ran the international aspects of the corporation from Sacramento. Yeah, that would you say, what does that have to do with me? Your home corporation. You're the CEO of your home. What are you going to do? Are you going to bug out? Okay, they had a location in this company had a location in Sacramento. Now, a COOP facility is listed as either a cold, warm, or hot. A cold one is just a building, nothing there. Basically, it could be a bare warehouse. They go in, they bring everything with them. Computers, office supplies, food, telephones. They bring everything in and hook it up. That's a cold one. Now, a warm one is where it's all wired. They have some desks there already. They have some phones there already. Computers are brought in as laptops. They have some office supplies / not enough though. They just have some things there. So it's kind of warm. It's not dead cold. Now, a hot facility is one where the internet's on all the time, phone lines are up and running, they don't got to be turned on. Everything, it's like a functional facility waiting for people to come in, and that's just it. People just come in, they bring their laptops, they bring their portable data devices, plug it in, and back at work instantly. So your bug out location, is it a cold one where all it is an empty cabin in the woods, a hunting lodge? Is it a vacation home where you actually have bedding, clothing, linens, some food stored there? Or is it totally functional? I mean, you got freezers there that are full of food, the cabinets are totally stocked. All you need to do is get there and you can live there. You got like 2 years supply of food there or whatever. All right. All things to think about. Don't get overwhelmed. You start planning on things. You work your way up to it. All right. So the type of emergency you're worried about determines what your plan of action is going to be. And what's a plan of action? Well, a plan of action is a written, chronological, step-by-step process by which a goal is obtained. I'll repeat that. A plan of action is a written, step-by-step, chronological step-by-step process by which a goal is obtained. Got to make sure I read it right. Okay, so it's not just, go at it and then put it together. You write it out beforehand and then you follow the plan. It's your plan of action. Now, to have a proper plan of action, to have your final goal, you got to have SMART goals to get there. It's like climbing a ladder. Each rung on the ladder is a SMART goal. It gets you to your final goal. What is a SMART goal? Well, SMART is an acronym, stands for specific, measurable, obtainable, relevant, and time-based. So, give you an example. I want to be rich when I retire. Is that a SMART goal? Not in the least. But is it specific? No. What's rich? Measurable. Retire. Well, when are you going to retire? Don't know. Did I forget to turn that on? Okay, I need to check something for a second. Had a panic attack there. I thought I may have forgot to turn the microphone on. All right, is it measurable? Well, when are you going to retire? There's no time frame on that. Nothing set where you can measure it by. No number. Is it obtainable? Well, since it's not measurable, you can't obtain it. Is it relevant? Well, it all depends what rich is. And time-based, once again, there's no retire. Well, you could say, well, I'm going to retire at 65. That is the retirement age. Well, yeah, then you could say there's a little bit of time base to it. But it's not a true SMART goal. So let's rework that. I want to have $500,000 in my savings account by the time I reach 70 years of age. And I want to have everything else paid for. Okay, let's look at that. Is it specific? Yeah, well, you have $500,000 for an age. No other outstanding debt. Everything paid for. It's pretty specific. Is it measurable? Yeah, well, you have a number, 500,000. So yeah, it is a measurable goal. Is it obtainable? Well, it all depends. For some people that is attainable. For others it's not. For me, it definitely is. When I hit 70 years of age, I will have well over $500,000 in the bank. And all my properties will be paid for. Is it relevant? Okay, I'm saying for my retirement, which is going to be age 70. Yeah, it's pretty much, and the money is for that. Everything's laid out for that. Yeah, it is relevant. Money, the age, everything is relevant. Time base, yeah, it has a time base on it. It is, the finish line is when I turn 70, not the day before I turn 70, the day I turn 70. So that's a SMART goal. Emergency preparedness, you say, okay, I want to have a 2-year supply of food, of dehydrated food, in for me and my 4 family members in 5 years. Okay, that's SMART goal. That is, it's specific, it's measurable. You measure the amount, you got the time frame. Is it obtainable? Generally, it is. For me, it definitely is. Is it relevant? Yes. Everything is linked to each other. It's time-based, 5 years. All right, let's move on here now to... All right, so on your goals, you have your SMART goals to reach, going up the wrong side of the ladder to reach your top goal. Well, your basic goals are the feet of the ladder, and the first rungs are called basic goals. All right, so what are some basic goals? Water. For emergency preparedness, it's water, food, shelter, clothing. 4 things you need to survive. Basic items. So what are non-basic items? Non-basic items. I want to have 400 head of beef. That's not a basic item goal. That's advanced, very advanced, because having 40 head of beef has a whole. That's basically is the top rung on a different ladder. You got all sorts of things to get there. So just saying that is not a simple basic goal. Having an MRAP, an armored personnel carrying vehicle. No, that's not a basic goal. I want a 72-inch TV to keep from getting bored off my bonkers. And no, that's entertainment. That's not a basic goal. I want 5 cases of 80-year-old scotch. Well, the scotch might be good for trading and bartering with, but it's not a basic goal. It's a luxury. All right. So in your goals, between your basic goals and your non-basic goals, you need to figure out what is a need and what's a want. Or as Dr. Seuss would put it, a need versus a need. A need is a think need. You think you need it, but you really don't. Needs are the byproducts of the advertising agencies. Make you think you need it, and you really don't. Okay, so what you need to do with your notebook paper, start writing down things. Is it a need? Put it in one column. Is it a want? Put it in another column. Do you need it to survive, or do you want it to have the luxury and make your survival easier? Once you have it written down, put it onto an Excel spreadsheet. Put it onto an Excel spreadsheet. Yes, I'm going to say it one more time. Put it onto an Excel spreadsheet. Excel spreadsheets are great. They allow you to adjust the order quickly. So basically, you put all your lists down in there, and you put numbers in the next column. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 9. You itemize the number of the priority. You may have your first thing you write down may wind up when you start prioritizing it. Maybe actually only that's 15. I need this. That's actually number 1. Then you can take and you can sort it by that column, and it changes the order of everything back so it matches 1 through wherever and moves everything into the proper order. Really cool, really helpful. So that's the reason why you write everything down, and then you can transfer it to an Excel spreadsheet. So now you've prioritized your wants and your needs. Then you need to realize that the type of emergency you want to prepare for actually determines what sort of supplies you need to get. You may be thinking, oh, I need to have this. Wait a minute, I want to prepare for this. I don't need that to prepare for this. Move that from the need to the want column. Now, something else to remember. Because of who you are, or you, or you, or you, and where you are, that will affect the supplies you need to get. I'm up here in Idaho. Do I need to get snow chains? Probably. My cousin down in Texas, where it never freezes, does not need snow chains. See what I mean? There are different and skills. With my skills and my cousin's skills, he's fairly skilled. He's pretty well skilled. Now, one of my nephews, not so much. He needs all the help he can get. Of course, he's also still young, too. Something else to remember. Not everybody can be MacGyver. In other words, not everybody can take a stick of chewing gum, some thin wire, a glass tube, and a car battery and make a flashlight. All right? So, once again, you write it all down, you transfer it to an Excel spreadsheet, and you can put different tabs on the spreadsheet. So you have one for wants, one for needs, and then you can give it an item number, and the next column you can leave it blank for your priority. Then you'll write all the items that are your wants down or your needs down. And then you go through and you start assigning numbers to them. Once you're done, you sort it by that column, and you'll look at it again. Because you may, well, wait a minute, this one's actually more important than that one. So that's where that comes in very helpful. Okay, so we're going to cut it short here, end of part 1. And we'll pick up tomorrow with part 2, which is budgeting, spending the money. All right, so remember, share this with your friends, because if they're prepared, they're not coming after your supplies. Share it with your family, because if they're prepared, they're not coming after your supplies. And share it with your coworkers, because some of them you don't even want to see around. All right? Take care, get prepared, and I'll see you next time.